Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ashok Kumar from Government Women Engineering College Ajmer. This is lecture 4 of Aperture Antenna series, and in this lecture we are going to discuss about the radiation from uniform distribution rectangular aperture on an infinite ground plane. The following contents will be addressed during this lecture: radiation equation of a general current distribution, then after radiation fields for a uniform current distribution, rectangular aperture on an infinite ground plane, then after the properties of it, and analyze in the form of nulls, half power points and directivity. The contents of this lecture is prepared with the help of these following reference books. First, we need to understand the generalized procedure or radiation equations for a general current distribution. As we have discussed in lecture 3 of aperture antenna series, that the current component Jy and Mx are present in the aperture when we are taking uh, the rectangular aperture in the xy plane. Then after Jy and Mx components are present, and these components, three components of the currents, and we need to add the contribution of the component to get the E and H field. If the current distribution Js has the three components Jx, Jy, Jz, and corresponding vector potential function Ax, Ay and Az for the A. Similarly, for the current distribution Ms has all three components Mx, Fy, Mz, and giving rise to the corresponding vector potential function Fx, Fy and Fz for F. So by considering Js equal to in the rectangular coordinate system having the three components Jx, Jy and Jz, and Ms has the three component along the x, y and z direction is the Mx, Fy and Hz. So by considering Js and Ms equations, and then after we are putting in equation 5 and in equation 6 respectively, as we have discussed in lecture 3 of this antenna series, when the antenna aperture considered in a free space, then we have to calculate the a vector potential function by using this expression, and similarly we can calculate the vector potential function for ms by using this expression. As you can see in this, it depends on the jx, jy and jz along with r dash for phi, and here you can see depends on the mx, my and hz, where r dash cos psi is equal to r dash dot ar in the radial direction of the radial component. Then after you will get the value of r dash cos psi, which is equal to this one. So in the far field region, the theta and phi components of the E field are of interest, and these can be approximated as we have already discussed in lecture 3 of this aperture antenna series. Then we have calculated the value of E theta, E phi, H theta and H phi. Then after we are considering the intrinsic impedance, then we have to transform in terms of E theta and E phi. Then we will get E theta is equal to this expression and E of phi equal to this expression. So here you can see E theta component, it depends on the A of theta and f of phi function. Here you can see this is important. Then E of phi is dependent on the A of phi and f of theta. So you can see A theta, F phi and A phi and F theta. These four components are needed to calculate the E theta and E phi components. So the theta and phi component of A and of F are obtained by rectangular to spherical coordinate transformation, as we have discussed in equation 13 of lecture 3 of aperture antenna series. Then we can get the value of vector potential function A and F in the form of A theta, A phi, F theta and F phi, because it required to calculate the E theta and E phi component, as you can see in equation 52 and 53. So the A theta equation we can represent by equation 54, A phi 55, F theta 56 and F phi we can represent with the 57 equation. So these are the important equation that we need to calculate. Then after we can calculate the radiated field by the uh, current sheet on an infinite ground plane. Then after by considering the Poynting vector, the power flow in the far field region can be calculated. So we are having the theta and phi components in the far field. So the time average power flow can be computed by using this expression, as we have discussed in lecture 3 of this aperture antenna series also. Then we can summarize this general procedure in the 5 steps. And in first step, select a closed surface S over which the total electric and magnetic field EA and HA are known. As we have discussed in the previous lecture, I mean lecture 3 of aperture antenna series, then EA or either EA HA are the known. Then after we can form the equivalent current density Js and Ms over the surface H S using field equivalence principle, as we have discussed in lecture 1 of this the field equivalence principle. Then after we can calculate the Js and Ms over the surface. Then we have to calculate in step 3 is the R dash cos phi and ds dash using the aperture rectangular or circular position in xyz coordinates. This is important analysis. So we can calculate in terms of r theta and phi function and ds dash when we are considering the rectangular aperture. If we have to consider the circular aperture, in that case we can calculate rho phi and z component, the value of r dash cos phi and ds dash. And this analysis of circular aperture we will discuss uh, in the subsequent lectures. In step 4, we have to determine the a theta and a phi component, f theta and f phi component using equation 54 to 57. As we have discussed, these are the 54 to 57 equations. And where the integration over the closed surface f s after considering the rectangular a and f in spherical coordinate, cylindrical for the circular coordinate transformation. In step 5, determine the radiated E field using equation 52-53 in the far field region, because E field is have only the our interest to show the radiation characteristics of the aperture antenna. So by using equation 52 and 53, these are the 52 and 53, you can calculate the E field components. So this is the 5-step procedure. By using this 5-step procedure, you can solve a rectangular or circular aperture problem in a free space or over the infinite ground plane. Then after you can calculate. Further, we are taking a rectangular aperture on an infinite ground plane. In the lecture 3, we have discussed in a free space, but in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the infinite ground plane. So here you can see we have considered the geometry of the rectangular aperture and on an infinite ground plane, and this geometry we have to placed in the xy uh, perfect conducting plane with the opening dimension of a and b, a along the x and b along the y direction, and it is illuminated by a plane wave traveling along the z direction and incident from the z less than 0 direction, I mean from the conducting surface. To further analysis, let the plane wave be a linearly polarized is along the y direction. Thus the incident field has only ey component and hx component. So we can say along the x, hx component is present, and along the y, E of y component is present. As you can see, this is the representation, and these are the some assumption we are taking. Then after, for the simplicity, or we assume that the aperture field EA is constant over the aperture by using step 1, as we have defined the 5-step procedure. E of A is equal to A by E naught. This where E naught is the constant. The EM energy will propagate through the aperture and set up E and H field in the Z greater than regio, such that the Maxwell equations are satisfied on the conducting surface and elsewhere 0. The tangential component is on the xy plane is 0 expect the aperture. So the surface current density Js on the conductor is equal to 0 equal to 0 everywhere when analyzing using field equivalence principle by step 2. So by using step 2 we can calculate the Js and Ms values, and Js equal to 0 because it's a conducting surface, or we can say it's a infinite ground plane, and Ms we can calculate, and Ms is equal to twice of Ea cross n cap, and we can considering these 60 and 61 equation, and the step 3 procedure as we have discussed, this is the step 3 procedure, and we can calculate r dash cos psi, and that this is the differential area that can be represented dx dash dy dash. By using first step, first, second and third step procedure, we can calculate uh, the E theta and Fi component by using the steps discussed in lecture 3 of uniform current distribution aperture in a free space. Or for this type of antenna, consider equation 26 and 27 of lecture 3. Then you can simplify it by deleting the contribution of I mean A theta and A phi, because the component value J of S equal to 0 on an infinite ground plane. So A component is not exist, and multiplying the result by a factor 2, because the magnetic current density is twice of the magnetic current density in a free space. So we have to multiply it by the factor 2. Then after we can calculate the modified equations. These modified equation E of phi and E theta in the phi is equal to 0 plane and phi is equal to pi by 2 plane, where x is equal to, here you can see this is x, k by 2 sine theta, and y equal to kb by 2 sine theta, and g is the e की power minus j k r upon 4 pi r as we have discussed. Here you can see the multiplication factor cos phi in x is equal to 1, 4 phi is equal to 0 plane, I mean, and this plane is known as the xz plane. Similarly, the multiplication factor of sin phi in y is equal to 1, 4 phi is equal to pi by 2 plane, and we can say this is the yz plane. So second important analysis you can get that E of phi component is dependent on the A, because x is dependent on the A value. So E of phi dependent on the A, and E of theta is dependent on the B. So what is the difference between the infinite ground plane and in a free space current distribution or rectangular aperture? Then you can see at phi is equal to 0 plane, in a free space we are getting E of theta component, and phi is equal to pi by 2 plane we are getting E of phi component. But here you are getting the reverse values, or reverse electric reverse field equations. So phi is equal to 0 degree plane, you can get E of phi, and phi is equal to pi by 2 you get E of theta. So this is the important analysis you can see from the equation 63 and 64. Then after, by using equation 63 and 64, we can plot 3D and 2D pattern for A is equal to 3 lambda and B is equal to twice of lambda, as you can see here. And this is the 3D pattern for A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 2 lambda in the xz plane when considering phi is equal to 0 degree, and yz plane phi is equal to 90 degree. Then after you can see the maximum lobe in the direction of z, and when we have to draw this 3D pattern in the 2D form, then you can see the important analysis for the both the plane. In the E plane you will you can say this is the main lobe, and these are the side lobes. So here you can see three lobes in E plane, we can say, and in the H plane here you can see 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lobes are exist in on when we are putting the rectangular aperture on infinite ground plane. So you can see if we have to change the dimension of A and B, then after the lobes may be increases. So this is the important analysis as you can see from figure 9. And then further we have to calculate the pattern properties of rectangular aperture when we are putting on an infinite ground plane. Then we can calculate uh, the radiation properties in two principal plane, and this analysis is completely similar to the analysis pattern property analysis of the uniform rectangular aperture where in a free space, but only difference is that in the, as we have discussed earlier also, this is the plane difference. Here phi is equal to 0 degree plane, then E of phi equal to 0, but in the case of free space E of theta is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, and in the phi is equal to 90 degree plane E of theta is equal to 0 and x is equal to 0. So this is the basic difference between on infinite ground plane, and in the previous lecture 3 we have discussed. Then further analysis is completely same, and this analysis we have also discussed in the previous lecture, but here for better understanding you can see for phi is equal to 0 degree plane p of n power pattern equal to sin x upon x square, phi is equal to sin p n theta comma pi by 2. We are taking the value of phi equal to 0 and pi by 2, then sin y of x. Then we can calculate the pattern nulls, half power points and side lobe levels. As you can see, four nulls, as we have discussed p n equal to 0, so it is the multiplication of pi, or we can say x is equal to plus minus n pi, where n is equal to 1 2 3, as by considering the equation 65. This is equation 65. So we can calculate theta n, and the total beam width between us twice of theta n. For first null beam width we are putting the value of n equal to 1. If we have to convert radian into degree, then we can consider 1 radian equal to 57.3 degree. So we can say the actual angle along which the nulls occur depend on the aperture dimension a and b in phi is equal to 0 and pi by 2 plane respectively. And this analysis we have to analyze in the xz plane, which is known as the h plane. If you want to analyze in the yz plane, or we can say E plane, then you can consider this expression equation 66. Then you find that theta n is dependent on the b, but in the h plane is dependent on the a. This is the basic difference among them. And then further we can calculate the half power points, as we have discussed. The main beam is occurs for the x is equal to 1.39, as we have discussed in the previous lecture. And then we are putting, then we can calculate the horizontal and vertical plane analysis, and the half power beam width at phi is equal to 0 is equal to twice sine of inverse by using this expression, and half of phi is equal to pi by 2, as you can see this expression. So here you can see the difference is a and b, other things are remains same. So we can calculate in two principal planes the half power beam width first nulls. Then further the first side lobe peak is minus 13.26 and second one is minus 17.83 dB, as you can see in this figure. Here you can see this is the first and this is the second side lobe in the h plane we have discussed. So here you can see by using this amplitude pattern curve, here you can see, then after you will get the FSL, and second one is yeah, minus 17.83. So we can say the side lobe level decreases progressively as move away from the main beam, as you can see in the figure. Then further we can calculate the directivity by using general equation 74, and the similar procedure we can adopt it to calculate the radiated power and the maximum radiation intensity as discussed in lecture 3 of this antenna aperture antenna series. Then after you can calculate the directivity d naught equal to 4 pi ab upon lambda square. So here 4 pi is the multiplication, this is the maximum radiation intensity, and this is the radiated power, and this radiated power we can calculate by using the Ponting vector. So we can say the ratio of directivity to the aperture is constant, which is equal to 4 pi upon lambda square, which is independent on the antenna. If the current distribution is not uniform, then we can calculate the effective aperture area and the directivity d max is equal to 4 pi upon lambda square AE. So this is the simple analysis as we have discussed in lecture 3 of this antenna aperture series when considering the case of uh, rectangular current sheet placed on the in a free space, but here we have to analyze when we are putting on the infinite ground plane. So this is the analysis that we have discussed in this lecture 4 of aperture antenna series, that we can calculate the generalized expression. By using generalized expression we can analyze the circular aperture also. Then further we have to calculate the radiated field and their pattern property parameter in this lecture. Thank you everyone for watching this lecture. I hope this lecture is beneficial for you.